Today, designing printed circuit boards in 3D is not the exception, it's the norm. The same can now be said for many different areas in PCB design, from part selection to the end product's fabrication and assembly. So what are the new exceptions, the new norms, the game changers, the disruptive, emerging shift-left technologies in EDA? Well, let's talk about that. Hi there, I'm John McMillan, and welcome to this edition of PCB Tech Talk, the podcast where I talk about design tools, the EDA industry, and the questions that you're asking. I'll be bringing in special guests from time to time, including subject matter experts and EDA industry influencers. So be sure to subscribe to this podcast, let me know the topics you'd like to discuss, and if you'd like to be my guest right here on PCB Tech Talk. It seems we hear terms like game changers, disruptive technologies, and even shift left in lots of industries, including electronics. In EDA, all three of these terms are most often used as synonyms to describe a functionality that displaces or perhaps replaces a way things were done historically, with what I'll refer to as how they were done traditionally in design flows. You could say it shakes up the industry, or it's a groundbreaking product function. It may even create a completely new capability. When shift left, for example, is included in the EDA conversation, it's describing where in a traditional PCB design flow, where you did this, then this, what may have historically been described as a linear design flow, have now left shifted steps or functionality. So you're performing tasks that were further down that traditional timeline, and instead, you are now performing and considering them throughout, even simultaneously in electronic product design. Speaking of product design flow, well, this I think is a great place to start. What was a job that was traditionally described as a PCB designer in the past was certainly more siloed than it is today. That is, if you were a PCB designer, that's what you did, PCB design. Well, today, PCB design is essentially part of a product design flow or platform. Our end product is no longer necessarily a single PCB to send out to fabrication, but instead may be a system of connected PCBs complete with mechanical components and enclosures. In fact, in today's product design flow in ECAD, we are essentially designing a virtual digital twin of the complete end product assembly, where in ECAD you have compiled a database for the finished product, including the PCB mechanical piece parts and the enclosure, checked the form and fit, and not only that, you performed airflow, electromagnetic, thermal, even vibration analysis. I'll talk more about those areas later to ensure the manufactured parts, both electrical and mechanical, fit mechanically and don't fail electrically before the parts are ever fabricated. Here's an example. Today, when you design an electronics product schematic, you're not in that silo I mentioned earlier of just a schematic design tool. Component selection is connected to databases with symbols that include all of the parametric data, model data, and even pricing data and availability. At the same time, you're mapping the land patterns, and now again, no longer the exception but the rule, you're collecting all the component 3D models. And you're not just collecting these models for PCB layout, but you're collecting them for mechanical design as well. You're creating component groups, you're leveraging design reuse, and you're planning through the layout phase through constraint management, even planning for design variants at the earliest phases of product design, and always have the end product in mind. So what about disruptive technology? Well, a great example of a disruptive technology, let's use shift left in schematic design, for example, design validation, which is also described as schematic integrity analysis, where we more than just replace a step in product design, that is, manually checking a schematic, that is, historically error-prone, time-consuming, manual process conducted utilizing several resources. So we now have analysis tools that can perform hundreds of predefined checks leveraging extensive intelligent model component libraries built right into the schematic design tool and enable us to perform a full inspection of all nets on a schematic. This type of shift-left validation eliminates the historically error-prone risk by identifying schematic design errors that, when not identified, get passed to downstream processes and ultimately to the fabricated board. What does this mean? You guessed it. It results in expensive design respins and increased time to market and in a competitive market may even make or break the product's success. So think about it. If you could run electrical and connectivity checks on a schematic in the same way, let's say you'd run a spell checker or grammar check on a Word document, why wouldn't you? Well, now you can. So coming to the conclusion that schematic integrity analysis is a disruptive technology because it's replacing a schematic checking process that was traditionally manual and error-prone is easy. As for shift left, it takes a process traditionally left as a post-schematic step to review and check, and it enables users to verify the design early and often throughout the schematic creation phase. This is essential for a product to achieve the ultimate goal of first pass design success. And again, this is not a post-schematic design step. It can be performed early and throughout the product design process. Earlier, I mentioned that today we have shifted away from what I'll describe as a disconnected product design flow. And now we have PCB and mechanical design flows that have evolved into a collaborative, connected product design flow, where we are actually designing a virtual digital twin of the complete end product assembly, where the ECAD resource has compiled a database that digitally replicates the finished product. That database includes all the PCB mechanical piece parts, enclosure, even the hardware, checked the form and fit, and even beyond electrical clearance and interference checks. They're also able to perform design rule spacing checks between electrical components and mechanical parts, so we can ensure that the manufactured parts, that is, both electrical and mechanical parts, fit, not fail, in assembly before the parts ever get fabricated. What makes this modern technology, this shift-left co-design collaboration between PCB and mechanical domains invaluable, is that it's a real-time data exchange that keeps design data in sync, even with PCB and mechanical design being completed in different design tools. Think about it. Historically, the board envelope is driven by MCAD and will include the PCB outline, physical interface components, which are typically dictated by the end product design, especially in consumer electronics. That is, components like connectors and switches and jacks and LEDs and so on. But non-electrical components like component heat sinks, sockets, light pipes, for example, can be initiated in the electrical design domain and now be provided to the mechanical domain. So we are collaboratively, concurrently, and confidently designing electronic products. And another great shift-left capability of this PCB mechanical digital twin of the completed electronic assembly that I touched on earlier is that checks for airflow, electromagnetic, thermal, even vibration analysis can be deducted prior to fabrication to ensure the end product functions as designed. So imagine discovering through analysis and verification the need to add a heatsink to a component where the product's enclosure was not designed with any extra clearance in mind to accommodate it, or discovering that a cooling fan can be shifted or added, or cutouts added to the enclosure to add the ventilation required. Discovering, addressing, and avoiding these issues before fabrication is what these game-changer shift-left design flows do. Another key area for shift-left in product design is designing for fabrication, test, and assembly. In product design, where we are now considering the testability and the manufacturability of the product throughout the design process, that is, we are shifting left these known downstream trouble areas where historically errors are found and performing the verification checks we need to perform to ensure that the product is easy to build and those areas are considered and validated from the earliest stages possible of PCB and product design. Let's take testability for an example. That is, adding test points into a design was historically a post-route process, often in the layout tool, often converting vias into test points based on spacing rules. Then, a DF tool perhaps would check or audit the design for coverage. Then perhaps report the nets that were missing coverage, which typically resulted in going back into the layout and pushing and shoving vias and traces around to achieve full test coverage. Today, once again, we have shifted left the planning for test points coverage at the earliest stages of product development during schematic design. Makes sense, right? If you know you need them, plan for them. No more of the it's a normal part of the design flow to go back and try and fit them in later processes. It's like, why put off paying a debt versus budgeting for the cost from the beginning? Or better yet, why not eliminate that cost altogether? Similarly with DFM, design for manufacturability analysis, is also shifting left into layout, as it should, where we can take manufacturing considerations into account concurrently, so we are designing to prevent and avoid discovering costly issues downstream. This includes validations related to library cells, component placement, critical net routes, plain data, and non-critical nets. This shift left, that is, being able to run DFM checks during the layout versus a post-layout operations, ensures that manufacturability is taken into account early and often as you design. As we know, when issues are discovered by the PCB fabricator, the cost and time and rework can literally bust the budget and miss time to market. And in some cases, fabricators may make tweaks to the design database to improve fabrication yield, for example. The problem with that is those tweaks may unknowingly adversely impact the design signal's integrity. And if those tweaks create product field failures later, that could be a disaster. So why not just avoid them altogether? But what about an even higher level of shift left in product design for products that are systems or systems of systems? Having the ability to define, analyze, and verify complete multi-board systems. Historically, there has been poor collaboration between cross-domain design teams. This resulted in costly intra-system connectivity errors, extensive and time-consuming manual validation steps, and restrictive system change rules that compromised system design optimization. For products with multiple interconnected boards that were traditionally managed with desktop tools like spreadsheets for intra-board connectivity, text files for system element parameters, block diagrams to show block level system structure and hierarchy, today multi-board system design flows replace these inefficient paper and manual processes with an automated, fully integrated, collaborative workflow. A workflow that enables automated synchronization between all levels of abstraction and automated connector management, helping product design teams achieve time to market targets. These multi-board systems design flows provide a fully parallel collaborative design environment where global teams can work in real time with the flexibility and intuitive technologies they need to develop innovative and competitive multi-board systems. The advantages for shift-left product design is broad. It enables product design teams to manage design complexity, enable multidiscipline team collaboration, maximize team efficiency, eliminates those siloed black box methodology and integrated digitally adjacent domains I was talking about. It optimizes end product performance and reliability, obviously reduces design errors, which reduce design cost, which ensures time to market targets are achieved. These shift-left technologies are evolving the product design flow and are enabling businesses from startup to enterprise to achieve first pass design success. We're moving away from product schedules that plan or even expect and budget for design respins. So if you're stuck with a traditional design flow where you do this, then this, then this, that is, an historical linear design flow, you should think twice. Shift-left functionality can give you a real competitive advantage. Reduce prototypes, saving cost, ensuring time to market goals, and delivering best-in-class products. So that's it for this time. For information on this podcast, be sure to check out the show notes. There you'll find additional information related to this podcast. You'll also find my email address, so feel free to send me your comments and questions, or any topics you'd like to hear me talk about, or if you'd like to be my guest right here on PCB Tech Talk. I'm John McMillan. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast app, and catch the next episode of PCB Tech Talk.